My contribution to this debate is to advise you that we talk of conservation of nature, of the national parks. We conserve, kwa Kiswahili tunasema kuhifadhi, to conserve what is good. Now, I think one of the topics you need to deal with, and this we keep talking about it, but sometimes it's not very clear to others, because during those days of the students, we took different paths. There were some of the boys and girls who are taking what they were calling the professional line. I am a lawyer, I concentrate on the law. But for us, we are saying no, the law cannot be not in a context. The law must always be in a context. Many of the values you, the lawyers, talk about, the modern lawyers, are really middle-class values. Values of the middle class. If you go to Europe, where some of the partners come from, those values were not always values. At one time, they had the same sort of problems like you are talking about here. Women being marginalized, all those things you are talking about, they went through it. This is not an African problem. It is a problem of the human race. But what has happened in Europe in the last 600 years is that there has been socio-economic transformation. The society has changed. If you go to Europe, if you go, because we studied all these issues, there's nothing we don't know. If, for instance, you go to 1400, what was the structure of the European society? You'll find that they had the aristocrats, the feudalists, they had the peasants, the farmers, and they had the artisans, blacksmith, so on and so forth. But you come to 1789, during the time of the French Revolution, you find now the society has metamorphosed. I like to use that word, social metamorphosis. Like the insect, that insect metamorphosis. It's the same organism, but it goes through different forms of life. It is an egg. The egg hatches and becomes a caterpillar. The caterpillar becomes a pupa, and then the pupa becomes a mature butterfly. We call that in biology metamorphosis. Similarly, society has been metamorphosing. So when you come to the time of the French Revolution, and that's why really you should take these subjects seriously, not just study and forget about them, because they have got implications for whatever you are doing. So by the time of the French Revolution, that three-class society of Europe, the aristocrats, the peasants, and the artisans, has changed into a four-class society. You now have the aristocrats, the feudalists, you have the bourgeoisie. That's a French word, which those from France can help you with, meaning the middle class. This is a new class. It had never existed in human history. This was new, the middle class. What was the livelihood of the feudalists dependent on? It was dependent on obsuru, rent from land, taking rent from the peasants. But how about this new force, new group, the middle class, the bourgeoisie? What were their livelihood based on? It was based on profit, the concept of profit, the difference between the input cost and the final price, the profit. You have got a new structure of society which now depends on profit, not on rent, but on profit. And it's a dynamic group. Because of that, they were very dynamic, they were very active. Then the third class were the proletariat. Proletariat were the working class. In Europe, you had people, as Karl Marx said, who had nothing else to sell except their labor. They no longer had property. They no longer had what they could only sell their labor and be paid for it. And what were they dependent on? Wages, salaries, umsara. Then you still had the peasants. They were still there that time. And what were the peasants? And intellectuals is to ask you a question. Are you going to maintain a backward society, a pre-capitalist society, and then somehow you transplant the middle class values and you think they will stick? This is the challenge you should address. So I think it is not correct to go on just talking about, because this is what we call the base and the superstructure, the foundation of the house and the roof. You cannot have a pre-capitalist society, Karamojong running around stealing cows, Turkanas, all these characters, Pokot, running around, and then you come and you preach them about these rights of this and that. Yes, you can try, but it will not. It is a problem. So therefore, it's correct. I don't know what the judge who spoke before I came said. It's a fact that here we have been pushing for human rights from our student days, not just now. We are the ones who recruited women in the army for the first time. We introduced positive favoritism. You remember when I added points on you people? 1.5 points for girls to go to university at the government sponsorship. Really discrimination. That's unconstitutional, but we did it. We are calling it affirmative action. So we have been doing all that. We are the first in Africa to introduce I don't know whether there is a member of parliament here. The parliament now is very huge. I don't know how many there. How many constituencies do we have now? 300 and I don't know what. At one time, we had 214 constituencies for elections, but only 14 women had gone through the competition. So that's when we introduced a special seat for women per district. We did all this. But you can see still problems you are talking about. Even when the law says no, what we call it, defilement. To deal sexually with a girl who is below 18, it is a defilement, and the punishment is death. It is in the Constitution, in the law. But as you are saying now, a woman is defiled and doesn't want to come out and report. So you can see what I'm saying. Transplanting a value onto an old structure. And if you want to go back to the Bible, you remember what Jesus said. Don't put new wine in old skins, because the new wine is bubbling, it will break the skin. I didn't know that Jews were using skins for drinks. Skins here are used for tobacco and other dry things, not for liquids. Liquids we use calabashes. You saw the calabashes. The churches didn't have them here.